Welcome back, friends. Tonight's story starts with a perfect backyard, a smiling husband, and one text message that should never have existed. Mara Ellis was holding a glass of sparkling water when her phone lit up, and the name on screen made her fingers go cold. The message was short. It said, "Don't let him leave before I get there." No greeting. No explanation. Just fear, sharpened into 12 words. Mara looked across the patio at Dylan Mercer, her groom-to-be, laughing near the grill with one hand in his pocket and the other around her waist like he belonged there. He had the kind of face people trusted too fast. Calm eyes. Polished shoes. A voice that never rose unless he wanted something. Mara had spent 2 years learning the small habits of his body, the little tilts of his smile, the way he kissed her temple when he wanted her to stop asking questions. Tonight, every one of those habits felt staged. Then the porch light snapped on. Not bright. Just enough to catch the envelope tucked under the potted fern by the door. White. Thick. Addressed to her in neat blue ink. Inside was a mortgage statement she had never seen and a school form for a child she did not know. The borrower name was Dylan Mercer. The co-signer was Alina Mercer. Mara did not breathe for one full second. Then another phone buzzed from the driveway. And she knew the secret had already started walking toward her. Mara had built her whole hope around small things. The clean kitchen. The labeled pantry jars. The way Dylan kept the lawn edged like a picture frame. He had told her he liked order because chaos took too much from his childhood. She had believed him, because belief is cheap when somebody looks steady enough to carry it. They were hosting their engagement party in the house Dylan said he had nearly finished paying off. Friends from the neighborhood came with casseroles, wine, and bright smiles that never quite reached their eyes. Mara had spent the afternoon folding napkins and pretending her stomach was only nerves. Somewhere under that neat, shining surface, she had started noticing little wrongnesses. A second phone charger in his car. Cash withdrawals near a town he claimed he never visited. A hotel receipt crumpled in the wash basket with no room number printed on it. She had asked once, careful and quiet, and Dylan had kissed her forehead and said, "Work was messy this week. Don't make it bigger than it is." That was how he handled discomfort. He wrapped it in affection and asked her to feel guilty for touching it. Tonight, his mother was telling everyone how lucky they were to have found each other. Dylan's son from his first marriage? No. Dylan had said he had no children. His ex? No. He had said the divorce was long over. Clean. Final. Done. Mara had repeated those facts like prayers to anyone who asked. She wanted them to be true so badly that she had started repeating them to herself. Then the envelope in her pocket vibrated. A second message. A photo. Dylan standing outside a brick school, holding a little boy with his chin and dark hair. The boy was maybe 6. At the bottom of the image, the same blue handwriting, "His name is Oliver. Ask him who his mother is." Mara stared at the screen until the edges blurred. Across the yard, Dylan lifted his glass and smiled at her. Not because he knew she had seen it. Because he believed she would not understand what she was seeing. That was the part that hurt first. Not the lie. The confidence. Mara did not confront him yet. She learned, in that instant, that panic is a noisy liar. It wants you to throw a chair, scream in front of neighbors, beg the wrong question first. Mara swallowed it. She slid the photo into her bra, wiped her face with the heel of her hand, and walked to the hall bath as if she simply needed powder. In the bathroom, under the fan's dry whir, she opened her banking app. One of Dylan's accounts had her shared access because he had insisted love meant transparency. Funny thing. The account showed a transfer made 40 minutes earlier to a lender named Bellevue Mortgage Trust. The note line carried a property address 2 towns over. Not theirs. Another house. Another monthly drain. Another front porch lit for somebody else. Mara leaned over the sink and read the statement twice. Then a third time. The borrower name had been changed in the file summary to Dylan Mercer and Alina Mercer. Alina. The hidden wife. The name sounded soft, almost harmless, like a friend of the family. That was what made it sick. People always imagine betrayal wears a cruel face. Sometimes it wears a nice one and brings potato salad. She opened her email archive. Old attachments. Travel itineraries. Insurance forms. A school calendar Dylan had asked her to print because his printer was acting weird. Every document had the same pattern, blank spaces where a second life should have been, little edits, little omissions, just enough to keep a careful woman from getting a clean grip on the truth. His voice came through the door like velvet over wire. She did not answer fast enough. That was a mistake. She heard the pause on the other side. Tiny. Controlled. He knew she was not fine. He knew she was seeing something. Then came the knock. 3 taps. Not angry. Wary. He had always been more dangerous when he was careful. Mara shut her phone and opened the door with her shoulders loose, her face arranged into softness. I'm fine. I just need air. You look pale. Is it the wine? He reached for her wrist, gentle enough to look loving. She almost flinched. He smelled like cologne and smoke from the grill. Familiar. Expensive. False. Behind him, in the front entry, she heard 2 new voices at once. A woman calling a name. A child crying from the cold. Dylan's head turned before hers did. That was the clue. Not surprise. Calculation. The woman at the gate was not a stranger. That was the cruel part. Mara had seen her once before, at a grocery store in the next town, standing beside Dylan's same silver SUV while he pretended not to notice Mara in the checkout line. Back then, she had told herself she was imagining things. Tonight, imagination had a name. Alina Mercer. Alina stood under the porch light with one hand on a little boy's shoulder and another on the shoulder of a girl who looked maybe 11. Her face was pale, drawn tight, but not weak. She looked like a woman who had already cried enough to run out of water. Beside her, an older man carried a folding chair and a casserole dish as if this were any ordinary family visit. Dylan went still. Not shocked. Cornered. That was worse. Mara watched his jaw lock, watched his eyes flick between the women like a man checking exits in a fire. He started toward Alina, then stopped when the little boy spoke. Mom said you had to come inside. She said if you lied again, everybody needed to hear it. It landed like a stone in a quiet pool. Guests turned. Neighbors looked up from their wine glasses. Somebody at the back of the patio muttered, "What is happening?" Mara felt heat climb her neck. She felt every eye pivot toward her like she was the one who had brought this mess to the party. That is how humiliation works. It makes the betrayed look public before the betrayer ever sweats. Dylan moved fast then. Too fast. This is a mistake, he said, and even as he said it, Mara knew the phrase was meant for 3 people at once. For Alina. For the guests. For herself. It was not denial. It was damage control. No. The mistake was letting you say my name in 2 counties and 1 bedroom. The yard went dead quiet. Even the grill hiss seemed to fade. Mara saw, with a flash so clean it almost hurt, that the man beside her had been living as if consequence were a thing that happened to other people. Alina held up a manila envelope and tossed it onto the patio table. Papers spilled out. Mortgage notices. School documents. A doctor's letter. A copy of a marriage certificate. The names printed on top were Dylan Mercer and Alina Mercer. Dated 6 years back. Mara stared at those documents and understood the shape of her life in one terrible second. Dylan had not been juggling an affair. He had been running parallel households. 2 wives. 2 mortgages. 2 sets of holidays. 2 versions of his voice. 1 smile for each room. The guests began to back away. No one wanted to be the first witness. No one wanted their own marriage looked at too closely under that light. Mara heard a woman whisper, "Oh my God," like prayer and gossip at once. Dylan tried to step beside her, to turn this into a private matter with his body. Mara shifted 1/2 step away, and that tiny movement told the room more than a scream would have. Mara did not let the room turn into a shouting match. That was her first real choice of the night. She had spent too many years thinking a good woman kept peace by shrinking. Not tonight. Not with those papers on her table. She picked up the marriage certificate with both hands and read it out loud, slowly, because sound can corner a lie faster than anger can. Dylan Mercer and Alina Mercer. Married in Orange County. 6 years ago. Dylan laughed once. A dry, broken sound. "That's not what you think," he said, and Mara almost smiled at the stupidity of it. Of course it was what she thought. It was exactly what it was. What he meant was that it was not the version he had prepared. Tell her about the fake divorce. That phrase changed the air. Fake divorce. Not a rumor. Not a misunderstanding. A plan. Dylan's shoulders dipped, just a fraction, and Mara saw the first crack of real fear. He had expected tears. Maybe screaming. He had not expected another woman to say the words out loud in front of witnesses. Alina pulled a second folder from her tote. Inside were printed emails, bank notices, and a county filing receipt. Mara read the subject lines first. Refinancing requests. Emergency contact updates. A note to a school secretary asking to remove mother from a pickup list because family changes were in progress. Every line proved the same thing. He had been moving money and children between houses like furniture. Then Mara found the school form. The one from the envelope. Oliver Mercer. Age 6. Emergency contacts, Dylan Mercer and Alina Mercer. Second contact, Mara Ellis had never been listed. Neither had she ever been told the child existed. That was the cut that finally made her fingertips go numb. Not because there was another woman. Because there was a child. A boy who had probably watched Dylan disappear into weekends and excuses and called it normal. He has my last name? Why does he have your last name? Because he said it made us look stable. Because he said clients trusted married men more. Because he said all he needed was time. There it was. Motive. Not just lust. Not just greed. Image. Dylan had built a social mask out of respectability. A married man looked solid. A father looked anchored. A mortgage history looked responsible. He had used those words like wallpaper to cover rot. Voice note played through speaker, tinny and distorted. Don't let Mara see the second draft. Keep the school pickup under Alina. We need both names clean until after the refinance. No one spoke for 3 full seconds. The house itself seemed to hold still. Outside, somebody in the yard laughed too loudly, unaware that history had just snapped in half in the dining room. Mara stared at the phone speaker as if it were a weapon. Now she had him. Not feelings. Not suspicion. Proof. Dylan opened his mouth, but Mara lifted one hand and stopped him without touching him. Her silence was sharper than any scream. She had learned his trick too well. He liked to talk women out of their own instincts. Not tonight. Tonight, the evidence spoke first. You weren't living 2 lives. You were billing them to each other. Dylan tried a softer face. That was his last mistake. He looked at Mara as if tenderness might still work on her, as if she were a door he'd opened before. "Let me explain," he said. "There are reasons." "Reasons?" Mara almost laughed. He had built a cathedral out of reasons. Reasons for the second mortgage. Reasons for the school form. Reasons for the woman hidden under another name. Reasons for every weekend he vanished. Men like Dylan do not think lies are lies if they arrive with a budget. "Put your phone on the table." "Mara, don't do this in front of everyone." "You did. The whole time." Alina exhaled through her nose, almost a laugh, but there was no humor in it. The older man by the door set down the casserole dish and folded his arms. The little girl had gone silent, staring at Dylan with the flat, exhausted face of someone too young to be this disappointed. Mara saw her then. Not a prop. Not collateral. A child learning, in real time, that a father can be two men and neither is true. The sound of those keys changed everything. It was tiny. Ordinary. But in a house built on access, keys are power. Mara held them up, looked at each tag, and saw duplicate gym cards, a storage locker key, and a brass key marked M. Not Mara. Maybe Monica. Maybe Melissa. Another woman. Another lie. The tags were a map of his appetite. She turned to Alina. "How long did you know about me?" she asked, and the question came out cleaner than grief. "Long enough to hate you for what I thought you were. Then I saw the bank statements. Then I saw your name on the utility transfer. Then I realized I wasn't the only one he had been starving." That hit Mara harder than accusation. Alina had misread her. Had watched her become the woman on the outside, the one who unknowingly shared a husband and probably smiled at him across phone calls and holiday cards. Mara understood that shame. It was ugly. It was also useful. Shame makes people tell the truth faster than pride ever will. Inside the final folder, under the mortgage papers, was a printed draft of a life insurance change. Beneficiary, Alina Mercer, primary. Secondary, Oliver Mercer. New house listed as collateral. He had been cleaning up the legal shape of his disappearance. Maybe not death. Maybe just exit. The word made her stomach tighten. He had planned for a future where one family discovered the other after he was already gone. Mara looked at the guests on the edge of the room, at the open doors, at the phones, the faces, the stunned silence. She understood that humiliation could either swallow her or sharpen her. She chose sharpen. Everybody in this house is going to hear one thing. I am not protecting his reputation. Not tonight. Not ever again. Mara did not shout first. She invited the room to witness. That mattered. It changed the shape of the humiliation from chaos into record. She asked Dylan to stand by the fireplace. Not because he deserved dignity. Because people listen differently when the accused is put in the center of the frame. Dylan said he was divorced. He said he had one child. He said this house was clean and paid for. That was the story he sold me. Tonight, we found the receipts. Someone whispered, "Receipts," and Mara lifted the mortgage packet. She showed the duplicate account, the second address, the school form, the marriage certificate, and the beneficiary change. She did not decorate it. She did not cry through it. Every paper hit the coffee table with a sound like a gavel. Then she did the thing Dylan never expected. She turned to the guests, not the men, not the wives, not the neighbors pretending this was none of their business. To the room. To the witnesses. If any of you ever wondered why he vanished, why he missed school events, why he always had an excuse for one child and another calendar for another house, now you know. He wasn't busy. He was divided. That line landed so hard one woman covered her mouth. Another stared at Dylan like she had finally noticed the dirt under his polish. Alina stepped closer, and Mara let her. That was the second reversal. Not mercy. Alignment. Two women standing side by side in the wreckage of one man's architecture. Dylan tried one last strategy. He went soft. He said he loved them both. He said he never meant for it to go this far. He said he was fixing things. The room did what rooms do when a liar grows desperate. It got colder. No. You were fixing your paperwork. The boy asked it to Dylan, but he was really asking the room. The question broke something open. Dylan looked at his son, then at Mara, then at Alina. He had no performance left. Just a man in a bright room with nowhere to stand. Mara felt the old urge to collapse, to make herself smaller, to let the shame have the final word. Instead, she did the colder thing. She walked to the mantel, took off the framed engagement photo, and set it face down. Then she opened her phone and called a lawyer already waiting on speaker. She had spent the last hour building a file. Screenshot by screenshot. Statement by statement. Legal aid from a friend who had seen enough bad husbands to know the pattern. Freeze every joint account. File the fraud report. Start the annulment. Send the documents to both lenders. Dylan stared at her as if she had become another person. In a way, she had. The woman who once ignored small lies because she feared seeming paranoid was gone. In her place stood someone who knew exactly how far a man could fall when paper, witnesses, and shame lined up behind the truth. The room did not cheer. It did not need to. Everybody had already understood the verdict. Dylan was no longer the charming husband, the neighborhood success, the man with the perfect lawn. He was a fraud with a mortgage habit and a family size he had never deserved. The social order had changed in one ugly, exact night. By the time the guests left, nobody had the same face. Some were embarrassed. Some were furious for the wrong reasons. Some were already texting. That part would move fast, because scandal always travels faster than grief. Mara stood in the kitchen after everyone else had gone, and the house felt hollow in a way no decorator could fix. Dylan had been removed from the room, then from the porch, then from the gate. Not by fists. By consequence. Alina took Oliver and his sister home with the older man. She did not thank Mara. Mara did not expect it. They were not sisters. They were not friends. They were two women walking away from the same fraud in different directions. Mara washed one glass by hand because her body needed something ordinary. The water ran hot. Her ring sat on the counter beside a stack of fraud printouts, cold as metal can get. For a long time she just stared at it. Then she slipped it off, set it into an envelope, and wrote one word on the front, return. At 12:31, her phone buzzed. A message from Dylan. Just one line. I can fix this if you let me come home. She read it once. Then she took a screenshot for the file and deleted nothing. That was her mercy now. Evidence. Preservation. The kind of forgiveness that makes a man feel the door closing forever. No. You can keep your lies. I am keeping my name. She typed a second message, colder than anger and cleaner than revenge. Contact goes through counsel. Oliver deserves the truth. So does everyone else. She did not say love. She did not say hate. She said process. She said proof. She said future. Outside, rain thickened against the glass. In the dim reflection, Mara looked older and stronger at once. Not healed. Not cheerful. But no longer breakable in the same place. Some women burn down the house. Some quietly change the locks, freeze the accounts, and hand the ash to the court. Mara had done the latter. It felt less dramatic. It was more permanent. On the counter, beside the envelope, lay one last object she had not noticed before. A small brass key stamped with the same letter as Dylan's storage locker. Under it, in his handwriting, was a sticky note, for after. After what? After one wife. After both. After the money. After the truth. Mara picked up the key, turned it once in her palm, and smiled without warmth. Whatever he had hidden there, he had lost the privilege of keeping it secret. And that's how it ended. Not with screaming. Not with forgiveness that healed anything. With a woman who chose cold clarity over chaos and left her husband stranded inside his own lies. If you want, I'll bring you another story next time. One where the secret comes from the wife's side, and the ending cuts even deeper.